Okay, everybody, this is part 3 of the review of the Bear Ausable Longbow. This bow is named after the Ausable River, Michigan, that Fred Bear did a lot of fly fishing and hunting in his youth. The bow is a 62-inch AMO bow. It's rated at 60 pounds at 28 inches. At my draw length of 29.5 inches, the bow is pulling 64 pounds. It's made out of bobinga wood, and it has 2 layers of bamboo and 1 layer of maple. So it's a 3-laminate bow limb system, and it has fiberglass on the belly and the back of the bow. I mean, I'm gonna give you a quick rundown what I think about the bow, what I like about the bow, what I don't like about the bow. What I like about the bow is, it's a beautiful bow. It shoots really well. There's really no hand shock to it. It's quite fast, quite speedy. I really don't have any issues with the bow at all. The quality and workmanship of the bow is outstanding. Even though this is a limb second bow, I can't find anything wrong with it. It's just a beautiful bow. Only a couple things I don't like about the bow. First, I've never liked Bear strings. They never really hold up real well. So normally I switch these strings out pretty quickly. I don't know what the issue with their strings are, but they are D97 Flemish twist, but I always have issues with the strings fraying, especially on the serving. And for some reason, this string likes to stretch a little bit, and it shouldn't be doing that. Second thing, I never like these leather rests that come with it. That's an inexpensive rest they supply, which is good on Bear to do that. But personally, if I was to keep this bow for myself, I would definitely change that rest out to a Bear hair rest. Already, after maybe 400 or 500 arrows through it over the last few days, I'm already starting to wear through the leather pad here. That's something about these leather, they don't hold it real well, especially shooting wood arrows or carbon arrows through it. The friction burns right through that leather. So that's only 2 little complaints I got about the bow. Let's go ahead and review the bow, my 6 criteria, review all of my bows on. We'll see how it rates against the other bows I've tested in the past year. I think this one's going to do quite well, actually. Okay, first off, my six things I measure a bow on are all the same. I measure them on quality, specification of the bow, is how close the bow specs beat, shootability, how fast I can pick the bow and get on target with it, speed of the bow, how fast the bow is off the box, how quiet the bow is out of the box, and last is the value of the bow. So let's talk about the quality first. I brush on it somewhat, but it's a Bear bow. Bear bows have always been outstanding quality. They always have been, always will be. I've never come across a bad Bear bow. I really haven't. They really take pride in building their bows over there at Bear Archery, and they're in a class all by themselves, if you ask me. I've always been a Bear fanboy, but I've shot a lot of bows, Ben Pearson, PSC, Martin. I've shot several of those bows, but Bear's just got that certain air of classicness to it and certain air of craftsmanship and quality that's hard to beat. And so Bear bows have always maintained outstanding quality in their bows. I just wish they'd do a better job on their strings. So for quality of the bow, I'm going to give the bow a 9. That being reason because of the string. Bear does not make a good string. They need to find a different string maker, make their own string. So I'm going to give it a 9. Just because that string really messes it up. And also because that leather pad that comes with it, it doesn't really hold up real well. So for quality bow, I'm going to give it a 9, okay? Specification of the bow. Well, the bow says it's rated at 60 pounds at 28 inches. I tested on my draw gauge, and it comes in right about 60.5 pounds at 28 inches. And actually, it's marked behind the plate, the bow plate here, 61 pounds. So I think that's spot on. And my draw length of 29.5 inches is coming in at 64 pounds, which is about right. So usually every inch you go over the 28 inches is rated in the bow, you pick up about 2 pounds. So that 64 pounds is pretty close to where my draw length 2.5 inches is going to be. So it's pretty accurate. So it is a bobinga wood, like you said it is. It does have the bamboo and the maple in there. So for specifications, it's spot on. So I'm going to give it a 10 for specs, okay? Shootability bow. Well, this is kind of different. I got to talk about this now. I like the bow a lot. It shot really well, okay? I didn't have really any hand shock with it at all. It was a smooth, it's got a very smooth draw. It doesn't stack at all. Even the heavy weight of 64 pounds, I didn't feel any kind of stacking. Mostly, I guess that's because that's the hybrid limb design, the reflex design on it. But the bow, it shoots really well. It's smooth. Only issue is after shooting the bow maybe 100 times or so, I actually wore a blister on the web of my hand right here. I've never actually had that happen before, so I don't know if it's because of this leather grip did it or what, but it wore a blister on my hand there, and eventually that blister popped. So I'm not going to fault that to the bow. It's going to be me the way I hold the bow, but or it could be this leather grip on there. If I was to keep the bow, I'd probably get rid of this leather grip because I don't like this leather grip at all. I think that's why I wore a blister on me. So anyway, when I was able to get on the bow, we went a 64-pound bow, which is way above I normally shoot. I normally shoot around a 50 to 51-pound bow, maybe 52 pounds. This bow is 64 pounds, is 12 pounds weight over my max limit I usually shoot at, that I can shoot comfortably at. But for a 64-pound bow, I was able to get on target with it and shoot it It is kind of tiring. I can't shoot as long as I can, say, my 45 or 50 pound bows. And I'm not quite as accurate with the bow, but I can't attribute that to the bow because I attribute that to the bow weight. I'm not used to it. I fully believe that if I was to train with this bow more and get stronger on this bow, I can be just as accurate with this bow as I am with other bows. But that being said, I'm still able to shoot 2.5, 3-inch groups at 20 yards with it and 3 to 4-inch groups at 30 yards, which is quite respectable. So, I mean, shootability of the bow, let's give it a 9, okay? All things being the same. Speed of the bow. Now, the bow is quite peppy, okay? That's because of the reflex-deflex design and the bamboo in it. I think this is the only bow that Bear makes with bamboo. I have to check on that for you. If someone got an answer, leave me a comment. I think it's the only one that Bear makes with the bamboo laminate. Most of their laminates are maple. But the bow is quite snappy, though. I mean, give you an example, a 515 grain arrow, which is roughly 8 grains per pound of draw weight. Remember, I'm pulling 64 pounds. That bow was launching arrows across that chronograph at 195 feet per second. That was being 10 foot in front of the chronograph. So probably at the chronograph, it's probably a lot closer to 200. But 195 feet per second is quite impressive for a 515 grain arrow. Now that is kind of a lightweight. It's like the bottom line Bear recommends is 8 grains per pound. I wouldn't shoot that like a 10 to 12 grains per pound. So let's go jump up right at the heavyweight arrow, the 640 grain arrow. Now that's 10 grains per pound of draw weight. That 640 grain arrow clocked across the chronograph at 175 feet per second. Yes, that's pretty impressive for it. The bow's really fast, really speedy. So I mean, the bow's speed is outstanding, and it's got to be due to that reflex-deflex design, those bamboo laminates in it. So we're going to give it a 9 on speed. The bow is quite fast. Okay, let's talk about the quietness of the bow. Now the bow is super quiet. I mean, like all longbows are, but this one's even more quiet than when I was shooting. You didn't hear any string twang or nothing or no vibration. I mean, this bow probably wouldn't even need a set of silencers. It's so quiet, but it is a super quiet bow. It runs quiet, it shoots quiet. Doesn't have any hand shock at all, no vibration when you shoot it. So I'm gonna give it a 9 for quietness, okay? The value of the bow. Now let's talk about the value. Okay, this bow retails for $629. That's brand new. Which at that price, I think, that's a pretty good price for a factory built bow with this custom wood in it, the bamboo in it, and the performance you're going to get. What makes this even better value, though, is the $400 this bow costs as a secondhand or a blimp you can get from the Bear Archery Pro Shop. If you're interested in this bow, drop Jared a line. I'll put his information in my description box. Tell him you want the Bear Ausable bow that Todd reviewed. I'm going to return this back to him in the next couple of days. And I think he's selling this bow for $400. So, I mean, that is a steal for this bow. And don't let it fool you because it's a blim fool you. There's nothing wrong with this bow I can find, okay? And if you really want to get in touch with me, what I'll do is before I turn this back into Jared, if someone sends me a comment they want to buy it from Jared, let me know and I'll go ahead and add a bear hair rest for it before I turn it back over to Jared. That way I already have that set up. But yeah, I mean, give Jared a call if you want to purchase this bow. It's a really good bow. $400, you can't beat it. I would keep this bow, honestly. I would. It would be my go-to bow. So I really like this bow that much. It's a big if there wasn't a 64-pound bow, I'll shoot more like 53 or 54. This bow will be ideal for me. It's smooth, fast, it's easy to maneuver in the woods, it's quiet, so yeah. So that's the only reason I'm not keeping this bow is because it's a little bit heavyweight, a little over my weight limit. But anyway, for those that want to purchase the bow, this is a 60-pound bow. Give Jared a call at Bear Archery Pro Shop in Gainesville. He can hook you up. Okay, so value, back to it. For the value, I'm going to give it actually a 9 also for value. You can't beat the value. $400 for a bow of this quality, even though it's a second item blim. Like I said, I can't find anything wrong with the bow. It's a really, but Bear's always had good value on their bows too. So let's see what we come up with now. That's a pretty high score. We got this scored at 55 out of 60, okay? This bow actually tied my custom Omega Huntsman my custom Omega Royal Huntsman bow that I did a review on a couple months ago. It's tied for first place as the highest rated bow at 55 out of 60. So that says a lot about a factory built bow. It's not even a custom bow, that it competes with a custom bow that was built to my specifications. So yeah, do I like this bow? Yes, I like this bow a lot. Now who do I recommend this bow for? Okay, very important. This bow is not designed for a beginner. I don't think a beginner probably could get used to pick it up and use it, but you've got to train on this bow. This bow is not something that the beginner wants to get started with. You want to get started with the longbow, I'd probably send you over to the Bear Montana, another great bow. I did a review on here on this channel as well. This is more of an intermediate to experienced shooter bow. It's The reason I say that is because it is a longbow, and you've got to be. It's not as forgiving as say a recurve bow or a longer bow is, because it is short at 62 inches for a longbow, and the high weight makes it a much difficult bow to learn. Okay, to master. Not saying that you couldn't do it. You could do it if you practice on, which I'm sure if I kept this bow and trained with it and shot with it consistently, that 64 pounds would work out fine for me. But it's just too much bow for me. So I'm gonna rate this bow as an intermediate to experienced shooter. The value of the bow is outstanding. You can't, the money wise, you definitely get your money's worth. This is something you can hand down to your kids. It'll last forever. I mean, there's bows that I've got from Bear Archery there from the early 60s that are still shooting just fine. I don't see any reason why this bow won't be the same. Only thing I would change on this bow, well, actually two things I would change would be the string that comes with it, because I don't like their bare strings, and I would change that arrow rest. I don't like that either. I never liked leather arrow. Other than that, bow's great. Now I would probably, personally with me, I'd probably remove that leather grip, because I think that's what gave me a blister on my hands, that leather.